In this lecture, we are going to learn how to create UI for our next tweet generator. And in order to do that, first let's go to src, and under src go to pages and create a new file over here, and let's call it tweetgenerator.js. Inside this file, we will return a JSX element, so let's write a functional component for it. And for our tweet generator function, let's fix the name of the function. It cannot have a hyphen in between, so let's change it to tweet generator. Now inside this div, we'll remove the default text and we'll give this a class of type row. Similarly, inside this, we'll create another div and give it a class of column6. We'll add one more div over here and give it a class of margin bottom, let's say 3, or we can leave it for now. Leave it for now though. We'll have a label inside it, and on this label we'll give it a class name of type form label. We'll also have an input, and we'll give this input a class of type form control. We'll also give it an ID. We'll name it current tweet, and in the label we'll give it a for attribute, and we'll add the ID over here. Let's save this, and we'll also give this label a margin bottom 3 and a value of enter previous tweet. Let's save this. Let's run our project now using npm run dev. So in our browser, if we enter localhost 3000, you can see that we still see the chatbot UI, and we haven't set up the navigation yet, so we'll directly enter the page in order to check it. You have to enter the exact string that we have for the file name, which is tweet-generator. So over here you can see that it seems like an input. Instead of using input, we can use text area over here in order to allow user to enter more number of text over here. So let's do that. Over here we can change this to text area, and we'll also give it rows. So let's add them. You can enter 3 or 4 rows. Let's save this. So this looks much better. Also we'll be using h3 tag over here instead of label, so that user can read the text clearly. So let's use h3 instead of label and save this. Now it looks much better, and it would be great if we could just centralize it like we did it in our previous video for our chatbot. So let's do that as well. So along with our row, we'll add justify content center. Let's now save this, and we have a decent UI over here where user can enter the tweet, and we'll show the result at the bottom. So let's allow user to enter the input, and we'll store it in the state. In order to do that, let's create a state for previous tweet, and we'll call it previous tweet. We'll give it an empty string by default. Let's format our code and save it, and we'll use the previous tweet value for our text area. Also we'll have an onChange handler over here. So let's add an onChange handler for our text area, and we'll call it onInputChangeHandler. Also we'll create the function handler for it. Now we'll set the target value to our previous tweet. So let's set that by using set previous tweet method, and we'll use event.target.value to set the target value for our previous tweet. We also need a button in order to submit the text for our previous tweet to our backend. So let's add that as well. So let's add the button over here. We'll use button to add an element of type button. Also we'll add class of bootstrap, which is button and button primary. We'll also give it some padding or margin from the top. Let's give it margin from the top, and we'll give it margin top, let's say 3, and save this. And we'll add some text and let's call it generate. Let's check our UI. And over here you can see that we have the text showing that you need to enter your previous tweet, as well as we have a generate button over here. So let's add the handler for our generate button, and we'll use that handler in order to pass our tweet from our front end to our backend, and we'll use the AI over there for our backend. So on our button click, we'll add the on click handler and pass on submit handler over here. Also, we will create the on submit handler function. It will receive no arguments, and over here we will be sending the request to our backend to generate the next tweet. So we also need a state for our next tweet. So let's create the state for our next tweet. And we'll give it a default value of empty string. Let's save this as well. And we'll add some conditional data over here. Just below our div, which is a wrapper for our text area and button, we'll create another div. Inside this div, or just above this, we'll give it a conditional statement. If there is a next tweet, we'll show this div, otherwise we will show null. And inside this div, we'll also give it an h3 element to show this is a next tweet. And we'll also show the next tweet in our paragraph element. Let's format our code, save this. So this is good to start with, but we still have one really important information missing in our application, which is the API that we need in order to send this previous tweet to our backend and receive the next generated tweet from our AI. So let's do that now in our next video.